It started with a knock, not on the front door, not on the back, on the walls. 3 slow, deliberate taps on the hallway wall just outside my bedroom. And I was alone. I'd moved into the house 2 nights earlier. A 100-year-old craftsman tucked at the edge of a sleepy, moss-choked town called Mercer Hollow. The house was dirt cheap, laughably so, considering the square footage and secluded plot. I'd signed the papers without asking too many questions. I needed a change, and honestly, after everything with my mom's death and the split from Alex, I didn't really care where I went, only that it was far. The first 2 days were uneventful. Dust, cobwebs, the usual creaks. I spent the time unpacking boxes and avoiding mirrors. I hadn't been sleeping well, and I hated what I saw in my face lately. I chalked up the strange sounds the first night to the house settling. That's what everyone says, right? Old house, don't worry, it's just settling. But houses don't settle in 3 perfectly spaced knocks, especially at 3:03 a.m. I didn't check it right away. I laid there trying to breathe through the cold spike of dread curling in my chest. I told myself it was nothing, my imagination, a pipe, a raccoon, something, anything. But then it came again. 3 knocks, this time softer, closer. Not on the wall, on the door to my bedroom. I sat up too fast, heart slamming in my chest. The doorknob didn't move. No footsteps. No voices. Just silence so thick it pressed into my ears like water. I forced myself to say, "Hello?" No answer. When I finally cracked the door, the hallway was empty. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I told myself I was being ridiculous. Maybe I had been half asleep. Maybe it was a dream. I busied myself with cleaning the upstairs study, which had been sealed off with yellowing newspaper taped to the inside of the glass door. The headlines were from 1972. That should have been my first real red flag. But I was tired and stubborn. I peeled back the brittle sheets and stepped inside. The air was thick, musty and sharp, like mildew and copper. The windows had been painted shut, and an old bookshelf slouched against the far wall, its shelves bowed under the weight of water-damaged books. But what struck me most was the chair. A rocking chair, plain wood, sitting in the exact center of the room, facing the wall, like someone had just stepped away mid-rock. I stared at it for a long time before backing out and shutting the door. I didn't clean the study. That night, I took 2 sleeping pills and collapsed onto the mattress, still on the floor. Sometime in the night, I woke up gasping, not from a nightmare, but from the cold. The window was open, wide. The same window I had nailed shut that afternoon, because the frame wouldn't stay put. The wind. Before we move on, please donate me in the form of subscribe. My mother had a blanket just like it when I was a kid, but I hadn't brought it with me. I didn't even own it anymore. I sat up, teeth chattering, and that's when I heard it again. The knocking. This time from inside the walls behind my bed. 3 taps. Pause. Then 3 more. But the third time it wasn't knocking, it was scratching. Something was moving inside the walls. I tore out of the bedroom, with my phone light leading the way. My breath came fast and ragged as I headed for the front door, but the knob wouldn't turn. Not locked, not jammed, just wouldn't turn, like something was holding it still on the other side. I backed away and nearly screamed when I felt something brush against my ankle. It was the pink dinosaur plushie, the one I kept packed away in a memory box from childhood. I hadn't unpacked it. I left it on the living room floor and ran into the kitchen. I spent the rest of the night in the corner, wide-eyed, the butcher knife clutched in my lap. Nothing came. Not the knocking, not the scratching. Just silence. In the morning, the house was still. Sunlight spilled through the high windows and made the place look almost normal. Warm, even. Like I'd dreamed the whole thing. But when I checked the window in my bedroom, it was locked tight. The nails were still in place, and the blue blanket was gone. I drove into town that day, half from panic and half from the need to be around people. Mercer Hollow had that old-world charm, all brick storefronts and rustling oak trees. I stopped at a local diner and asked the waitress casually about my house. "On Red Elm Road," I said. "The big one with the wraparound porch." She blinked once. "You moved in alone?" "Yes?" She didn't answer, but she stopped smiling. I tried again, mentioning the noises, the knocking. Her voice dropped low. "Don't go into the attic." I stared at her. "What attic? I didn't see one." She shook her head. "There's a door. There always is. It's just, the house doesn't let you find it until it's ready." I left before my food came. When I got home, I stood in the middle of the living room, breathing shallowly. The plushie was still there, propped against the leg of the couch, but now it had moved. It was facing the hallway. I picked it up with shaking hands and tossed it into a box in the garage, then spent the next hour looking for any sign of an attic door. I checked closets, ceilings, even the pantry. Nothing, just wood paneling, wallpaper, and silence. Until around 11 p.m. I was brushing my teeth when I heard it. Music, faint, warbly, like an old record player. I followed it to the study, the one I hadn't cleaned. The glass door stood wide open. The rocking chair was moving, back and forth, back and forth. A faint, scratchy voice hissed out from nowhere.